Yeah, agreed. You probably have to dig a little bit deep,
Yeah.
and really ask people the questions, where can I go?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the solutions for funding can be had in just having conversations. But the ones you've mentioned, I'm very familiar with quite a lot of them.
Yeah.
But I always find, and you know, the rhetoric you normally hear is that, okay, we know their names, we've seen their websites,
Yeah.
but how do you get through to the right people? Because there's always this disconnect sometimes with people who say we give funding, but how do you access the funding? How do you speak to get through to the right person? You hear that the entry point is so high,
Yeah.
and as someone who's just starting out, it's almost like, well, I don't have 3 years accounts. How am I supposed to get?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah, I get it. And it is very frustrating. I mean, there's some development finance institution grant proposals where there'll be like, a requirement will be that you have to be profitable for the last 3 years, and you're kind of like, well, if I
How
was
does a
profitable, I
startup do
wouldn't
that?
I wouldn't be looking
needing
for grant funding,
finance.
right?
There
I would
you go.
have lots of other options. But and it's also goes to the point of people who aren't actually practitioners, people who aren't entrepreneurs, who design some of these things, because you're kind of like, you're not thinking this through. But I think the benefit of organizations like Lagos Angel Network and Rising Tide Africa is that they are a lot of entrepreneurs in those organizations. So they kind of understand,
it, yes.
they understand the idea of a pitch. They understand the fact that, you could be somebody who's coming in, you've got the concept, but you've got the proof of concept, for example, but you now need the money to roll it out. So
Yes.
there is an understanding of that. I think a challenge for a lot of people is the packaging of it. How do you do a pitch? How do you present the pitch? How
funny
do you
say that.
I think,
Yes.
I think that is it's a challenge for me.
For many of us.
And I come from that space. So, yeah.
But I think as well, the great thing about some of the organizations that you've mentioned that I'm also familiar with is that they also offer you the prep time to do those pitches. Now, I know that Rising Tides, for instance, if you want to go and do a pitch, if you want to go to a deal day, there's several days they'll sit with you to prepare your pitch, to run through it, to practice it, before you now step in front of that crowd to basically pitch. So and they're also offering mentoring. They offer quite a lot of mentoring, and I think for somebody who's starting out, it's actually very important. I will probably say the mentoring is actually the biggest take home for you if you are starting out, to go for that, to get that network of people around who are entrepreneurs themselves in some respect, and understand the process, can take you through it, leading you up to the point where you can now perhaps present and really pitch.
I agree. I think, and through the mentoring, as you say, is where you can get the connections too. That you do,
because
need,
we can't forget the fact that a lot of it is about who you know as well.
So it's a very good point.
So, Kadzaya, I wanted to just, as a fellow woman in business, there's this awakening that I'm sensing in this environment for a lot of young women. Well, not necessarily just the young women. There's a lot of sort of more seasoned women as well who are now coming into this new awakening. That's why you hear a lot of stories of, women who've been in banking and who have been in finance and oil and gas. All of a sudden, they want to do something more creative. There's definitely a shift going on right now that I've recognized, especially my own little group and network of women. And younger generations coming through the woodworks of women who are growing more and more ambitious every single day. The woman who says, I'm not satisfied with just doing my 9 to 5. I want to go into the creative field. My parents might not necessarily understand, but I'm willing to go against the grain and really fight for this new ambition I think is stirring inside of me. However, in this environment, the culture still wants to pull me back, and I want to resist and go further forward. And this kind of tug and pull between, what the cultural expectations are and what my newfound passion is. There's a huge movement that I'm noticing a lot more young people, not just women per se, but young people in general. How would you say that fight has been, from your experience in business, trying to balance the mum life, the wife, and that entrepreneurial spirit that you basically have to fight for it. It's not something that you just get up and go. Some days it's a struggle. how would you say that you're managing to somehow coexist in both spaces and still give both 100%? And how might you advise somebody who is considering going into that space of the tug and pull, and still ensure that they have success in doing so?
Yeah. Look, I think you have to be comfortable with the fact that you're not going to be able to give 100% to all areas all the time. That's just a reality. And I think that is for anyone, woman or not. I think that is just life in general. But I think for as women, we have more expectations, we're held up to higher expectations about what we're supposed to be able to do. You're supposed to look like a supermodel and be a supermom and be like an amazing doting wife, and then still have yourself together, be an entrepreneur. And so I think that you have to be comfortable with some level of like imperfection, because it's tough. It's really difficult, but all the parts kind of fit together. So I don't think I would be able to be the mother that I am, and I'm not saying that I'm the perfect mother, or the wife that I am, and I'm not saying I'm the perfect wife, if I wasn't doing what I wanted to do, if I wasn't an entrepreneur. Because, like the minute I'm not, if I'm sitting in some job that I hate, that kind of affects all other aspects of my life. So, it is a trade-off. It's definitely a trade-off. This way, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm more fulfilled than I probably have been professionally, even though I'm a lot poorer. But, I because I'm more fulfilled, my outlook is different. My outlook towards my family, towards my marriage, whereas if I wasn't, I think I would be very frustrated, and a lot of my mind space would be taken out, would be taken up by that frustration, and it would affect my ability to relate, and to function in other parts of my life. So life is imperfection. I mean, that is just how it is. And, it's a trade-off, and it's constant flux. You're not going to always be 100% in all areas. I think the key is to have the support network that you need around you, a partner that is understanding, because I think if you don't have that can also be really, really difficult. But then you also, you do need to take those moments, take some time out to spend with my husband, because it's been a week or something, or and put the phone down because your kid is talking to you. And so there is that level of discipline, and I'm not saying that I have it, but I'm saying that it's a muscle that you have to grow. You have to build it, and you have to grow it. So yeah.
So is there any opportunities at Mai Foods for any sort of young people or young person trying to sort of break into the industry?
Yeah, we have, we actually do take industrial training students. They're normally food tech or food science students from tertiary institutions. So, if you are a food tech student or food science student, we'd be happy to take you. And yeah, I mean, there are always opportunities in sales and promotions.
Welcome to Susi.